Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Thursday, the 16th of February. Good to have you aboard. We are a Blue Wire podcast. Got a lot going on here, a lot to get to. I know folks have been asking me how Valentine's went. The first thing I got to tell you, though, I apologize for yesterday. Didn't do a show yesterday. Right smack in the middle of the week. No ZASLOW Show 2.0. I apologize for that. I will say, though, I had a couple people who sent me messages, on social media. Zaslow, I'm refreshing the feed. No ZASLOW Show 2.0 today. It bummed me out. Look, I'm sorry. I apologize about that, but it also makes me feel really good. I mean, that's actually a really nice compliment you're giving me in that spot. But so here's what happened. We got some upgrades here in the Zaslow Mansion studios, and now we have the best setup. All right, everything is so much better now. So I had AT&T here yesterday, and so you got it scheduled for early in the morning. It's a big window they give you, and I'm hoping it's going to be in the early part of the window. Well, it was not. It was in the latter part of the window, and it screwed up everything I had planned yesterday. So I wasn't able to do the show because I'm afraid that I'm going to lose the internet connection, and then everything's going to be all screwed up. So that's long story short. We got some upgrades here, like I said, in the Zaslow Mansion studio, and we're all good to go now. So I apologize for no show yesterday, but that's what ended up happening. It was not because, Zaslow's in big trouble because of Valentine's Day. Something terrible happened. He's not doing a show today. No. So I do have a conclusion to the Valentine's Day story. Now, if you weren't listening to Tuesday's show, Tuesday was Valentine's Day, and I was asking y'all, I think my wife, is it a trap? I think she's trapping me because she said, now we've been married for, this year will be 16. We've been married for 15 years. We've been together for almost 19 years. And so, if you have a good relationship with your spouse, you shouldn't have to do anything on Valentine's Day. It's really just a waste of money. Your significant other, or, in this case, I'm talking to the guys out there, our wives will appreciate it so much more if we do the really romantic Valentine's Day thing on a day that's not Valentine's Day. So my wife said, she didn't even say you don't have to do anything. She said, don't do anything. But I was pretty sure that was a trap. I think that was a trap. And so I was asking you guys, is this a trap? And almost to a man, every one of you guys like, yo, Zaslow, that's a trap. I knew it. I knew it was a trap. I didn't do anything on Valentine's Day. What? Zaslow, how could you not have done something on Valentine's Day after all this? We told you it's a trap. Because I did something the day after Valentine's Day. That's right. We don't have to do it on Valentine's Day. If you do it on a different night, maybe it's the night before, that probably would have been more ideal. Because then she doesn't think that you're doing nothing if you do it the next day. But I told her on Valentine's Day, guess what? You said not to do anything on Valentine's Day. We're not. We're going out tomorrow night. And so tomorrow night was last night. We went to a local French bistro. We had a great romantic meal. That's the way to do it. You beat the rush. Although the place was crowded because maybe there was a bunch of other people who had the same idea that we did. Don't do it on Valentine's Day. Go out the day before or go out the day after. This way you avoid that Valentine's rush and your significant other appreciates it more. Because you're not doing it just because, hey, today's Valentine's Day. You're doing it because you want to do it. So I listened to her. I didn't do anything on Valentine's Day. We went out last night, the night after Valentine's Day, and she liked that. She enjoyed that. They put a little thought into it, right? Didn't do anything fancy. Did nothing fancy. But the fact that I treated last night like it was a special day, we went out for a nice romantic dinner at a little French bistro right here in Cooper City. She enjoyed that. So everything worked out okay. I appreciate everyone's concern. And I don't know if you were right or wrong where it's a trap, where she said not to do anything for Valentine's Day, because I still kind of did something. But I think the way that I would change it next year, not that it backfired or anything, because it didn't. Everything worked out great. But I think the way that I would change it next year, we would go out the night before Valentine's. Because then on Valentine's, she doesn't have to think, oh my God, you really didn't do anything. I would do it the night before Valentine's. That's, I think, the way that I would switch things up. But anyway, we went out last night. We had a nice little time. So there you have it. Everything worked out well for your boy. Maybe there was even a little bit of magic that took place in the Zaslow Mansion master bedroom last night. I'm not going to spoil it. Y'all can use your imagination. So, we have a poll question today. A Zaslow Show 2.0 poll question. You know these poll questions are usually very controversial. Here's what we got for today. So, we're obviously going to spend a lot of time on the Heat. The Heat last night, they lose at the Brooklyn Nets, and now I got to sit around and stew on that loss until next week because we're now at the All-Star break. That's a bad loss last night. Zaslow Show 2.0 poll question. Should the Miami Heat, go to @Zaslow Show on Twitter, you can vote right now. Although right now you're listening to this, the poll question's in the future, so the odds are going to be a little bit different. I don't know what the future holds. You guys do. But right now in the past, you're listening in the past. In the past, here's what we're at. Zaslow Show 2.0 poll question. Should the Heat add, and here are your choices, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love, both, neither. Those are the answers. And right now, the leader at 53% of the vote is the Heat should add both Kevin Love and Russell Westbrook. Then at 24%, it's just Kevin Love. At 17%, neither. And at only 6% of the vote, Russell Westbrook. So you guys are not in on just adding Russell Westbrook. But most of you want the Heat to add both. And I'll tell you right now, here's where the Heat offense stinks. We're going to talk to Tom Haberstroh, Meadowlark Media. He knows, all right? We're going to get Haberstroh on Zaslow Show 2.0 coming up in a few minutes. My pal comedian out there in Los Angeles, Dave Williamson, he tours around with Bert Kreischer, huge Miami sports fan. We haven't had Dave on in a couple months. Dave Williamson, fresh off of performing in the Super Bowl. Bert Kreischer, they did several shows out there in Phoenix last week. He was at the game. He's probably got some really great stories. Our pal Dave Williamson is going to join us on the show today as well. So we're going to have some fun. But before we get to Haberstroh, let's talk about the Heat. So the Heat last night, they lose a game where, you really had to have that game because I told you yesterday, I do believe the Heat are going to eventually pass Brooklyn in the standings. That Brooklyn team stinks. I don't care about that performance last night because it wasn't even about Brooklyn's performance last night. It was Mikal Bridges' performance last night. Career high 45 points. He was amazing. He was on fire in the fourth quarter. I think he had 17 in the fourth quarter. Unstoppable in the fourth quarter. It came down to one guy was totally on fire, and the Heat couldn't hang there in the fourth quarter. So otherwise, it's a great game. The Heat were up 87-81 late in the third or early in the fourth quarter, whatever it was, and Brooklyn winds up pulling away. 116-105, they win. It was not close the final 5 minutes of the game. Brooklyn was ahead by double figures that whole stretch. So now, the Heat not only fall 3 back of Brooklyn for the number 5 spot, when it could have been just 1 game back of Brooklyn, but they're also behind New York now. They're a half game behind the Knicks, which means the Heat are now in the play-in spot, number 7. That's the whole... it looked like we were in a place where we were avoiding that whole conversation, where number 5 was in striking distance. It is in striking distance. And by the way, because Cleveland lost last night, if the Heat would have won last night, they'd be sitting back actually only 3 games back at number 4. Major missed opportunity for the Heat last night. Jimmy Butler had he really struggled, missing shots around the basket. Jimmy was completely ineffective last night. That's going to happen. It's no big deal. It is what it is. Bam did his usual stuff. He was fantastic. Max Strus struggled from... Max Strus gave you 18 starting again in place of Tyler Hero, but he was just 2-9 from 3. Gabe Vincent, I love Gabe Vincent. Give all of Kyle Lowry's minutes to Gabe Vincent. Gabe had 21 points last night. He was great. But, this Heat bench, they don't get much from the bench. He had 16 points from the Heat bench. And, I get a message last night on social media, and he's not wrong, but I get a message on social media last night. The Heat are playing 7 undrafted players tonight. And you look at it, it's they got 7 undrafted. This is where the conversation starts, where people are like, oh, you're failing Jimmy Butler, or you're failing Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo because you got 7 undrafted players playing with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. That was the rotation last night. You had 9 guys. You had 7 undrafted guys Jimmy, and Bam. That was your team last night. And so I totally get that frustration, but my response was, yeah, it'd be nice if Oladipo was playing, wasn't hurt. It'd be nice if Tyler Hero wasn't hurt. It'd be nice if Kyle Lowry didn't quit. So, if you have those guys, well, although, I say it'd be nice if Kyle Lowry didn't quit. It actually is nice that Kyle Lowry quit, but the point is they should never have made that trade. You'd rather have other professional players on the roster. And so when you're missing all those guys, yeah, instead of playing two undrafted guys, Strus and Martin, maybe one other guy off the bench, you're playing 7. That's the spot that you're in now. And last night, really damaging loss when it comes to trying to chase those middle of the pack, those 4 or 5 teams in the Eastern Conference. Mikal Bridges was amazing. He couldn't miss in the fourth quarter last night. 45 points. I think that Brooklyn team stinks. Now, they're still going to make the playoffs because they were 11 games over 500 when they made those trades. They're so far ahead of, being outside looking in. They're going to make the playoffs still, but they just got a bunch of really good role players. Mikal Bridges looks like he's going to be a good player, but they got a bunch of really good role players. But you want those role players on teams with stars. When you have just a team of really good role players, your team sucks. That Brooklyn team sucks, and that's why it's a really annoying loss for the Heat last night. Oh, Zaslow, what does that say about the Heat if they lose to a team that sucks? Yeah, it says what we've been saying all year long. This Heat team can beat anybody, and they could lose to anybody. I mean, this is them. They've been doing this all year long. Brooklyn already won the season series against the Heat, I believe. This is a team that could beat anyone, and they can lose to anyone. It's frustrating. Last night was frustrating, and now you got to sit and stew. Yeah, the Nets beat the Heat by a point last month, and they only play one more time. That's March 25th here in Miami. So the Nets already won the season series. They're going to try and go for a sweep, which could be important for playoff positioning because I think this Nets team is going to continue to hang around where the Heat are, maybe like 6, 7-ish. But, yeah, last night was annoying. And now you get the news that Kevin Love has been... So again, go vote at Zaslow Show. Now you get the news that Kevin Love has been bought out from Cleveland, which is weird because he has spent 9 years in Cleveland. They love him there. He's a champion in Cleveland. And kind of like an unceremonious exit from the Cavaliers. Is Kevin Love interested in going to a team below the Cavaliers in the standings? Now, here's what I think is happening, okay? It's not just about going to a team below the Cavs in the standings. Kevin Love wasn't in the rotation anymore for Cleveland. Kevin Love's in the final year of his contract. Although now he's a free agent, so whatever. Kevin Love is likely going to want one final contract, maybe like a 2-year deal. He's probably going to want a final contract. And he's not going to get that out of the rotation sitting on the bench in Cleveland. He's going to find a team, A, that he thinks is going to be a playoff team, and B, a team that he can play on to show that he can still play and he wants that one final contract in his career. I think Miami's that team. Like, he may not be a starter right away with Miami, but he would give you exactly what you need. You don't need big minutes out of him. He would give you exactly what you need next to Bam Adebayo. He could still shoot the 3. He's always been a very good rebounder. He's a very good passer. How about that long, one of the things that if there's any one little thing that you miss about Kyle Lowry, because he was terrible at almost everything. But one thing he was good at is that long outlet pass to Jimmy Butler off of rebounds in transition. Kevin Love does that better than anybody. Kevin Love's excellent at that. Kevin Love would be a great fit for the Heat. So that's why we got today's poll question. And Russell Westbrook has not officially been bought out yet, but that conversation apparently is happening. Adrian Wojnarowski reported that Westbrook has been given permission to talk to several teams. He's talked to the Wizards, the Bulls, one other team, and I think also the Heat. So I'm interested in both those guys. I think the Heat are going to be a pain in the ass for anybody in the postseason in the first round. But, no one really believes this Heat team's a championship contender. Let's see what happens. Bring these guys. I would bring them both in, Love and Westbrook. Westbrook, he could still score off the bench. We saw it with the Lakers. And Love would be a really good fit next to Adebayo. What do we have to lose? Like Buddy tweeted me last night, the Heat played 7 undrafted guys yesterday. All right. Bring in Westbrook, bring in Love. Let's see what happens. It's already an established team. It's already an established culture. Let's see what happens. But back in the playing spot now. Major missed opportunity. If I'm the Heat, I would really, and the Heat have a little bit of money available because the Dedmon trade, I would really try and sell Kevin Love. Love first, then Westbrook, all right? Because I could do with or without Westbrook. I think it'd be fun. But Kevin Love, they need the size. They need the help rebounding. They need the shooting. I'd be hot in pursuit of Kevin Love. You got the championship experience. I think it's a really good play. Hey, before we get to Tom Haber's show, I got to tell you guys, I've been telling you about Doctors on Call 365 for a while now. They're one of my favorites, all right? I love all my sponsors, of course, but I've had scenarios, me, my son, we're not feeling well, we have a fever. I can't wait to go to the doctor. They don't have an appointment until next week. I don't want to go to the emergency room and sit for hours. Well, Doctors on Call 365 is South Florida's urgent care that comes to you. You get on the phone, you'll get someone on the call immediately. 786-577-9302. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or go to doctorsoncall365.com. But you call now, 786-577-9302. If you're not feeling well, you're to get someone on the phone immediately. The doctor's going to be at your house, your office, wherever you are later that day. You'll be treated in the comfort of your own home, in your bedroom. COVID test, strep test, flu test. You need a prescription filled or refilled. You need blood drawn. You need vitamin therapy. You need x-rays ordered. Doctors on Call 365. It's so convenient. They serve all of Broward County, all of Miami-Dade, Southern Palm Beach as well. It's self-pay. You got Medicare acceptance, private insurance acceptance. They're coming down the line, but you're going to pay less out of pocket than you would for your copay after waiting hours to be seen in the emergency room. DoctorsOnCall365.com, 786-577-9302.